Good evening. I'm so glad that we can bring this service to you once again. Tonight's service is trusting God with the what-ifs. And these days we have a lot of what-ifs going around. And we have to remember that God is tuned in to our frequency. He knows what we're thinking. He knows what we're doing. He knows what we're feeling. And His eyes see our slightest movements. His ears hear our softest cries and our whispers and every utterance that we may have. And better yet, He's there when we cry. He knows that we're crying. He knows what we're feeling. Our lives are filled with a lot of what-ifs, especially now we're concerned with, what if there's not enough money? What if there's not enough resources to go around? What if there's not enough toilet paper? Why toilet paper? I don't know. But anyway, what if there's not a comeback of the economy? How much longer? What if this lockdown goes on for longer than May the 1st, which is now extended till May the 15th? What if, what if, what if? We can be so overwhelmed with the what ifs. And one of the things that I can see too is with Emily especially, she's a people person, we all know that. And so her what if is, what if I get isolated all by myself and I can't see any people? That would drive her insane. What ifs can build to mighty big problems and issues. Uncertainty surrounds every one of us all the time. And the possibility of change can actually raise endless questions and what ifs, which in turn can cause us to worry. We all face challenges that we have to overcome. But if and when we allow fear to take root, then we will create a space of worry and anxiety to set up shop in our lives. Once worry and anxiety begin working in us, they're not easily stopped. So we have to be careful. What do we do so worry and anxiety doesn't take hold of our lives? If we allow it, the worry and the anxiety can strangle the life right out of us. And I thought it was really interesting. If you go back and you study the origins of the word worry, is in the Old English meaning, it means to strangle. So way back when, that's what worry was, is to strangle. But through the years, it developed into a different meaning to bite or to shake. Kind of like a dog would get a chew toy or a bone and shake it or fight and bite it. Then it transitioned further to harass or vex somebody. But the modern meaning of the word worry was developed in the 19th century, meaning to make or to be persistently anxious. So that didn't come about until the 19th century, is when the modern version of worry came about. But if we think about that, originally in the Old English, it was to choke or to strangle. Think about it. That's what worry can do to our own lives. It can choke everything around us out to where we are so consumed with strictly the worry of what is going to be. What if? We can lose touch with reality and move further from the truth when we allow worry to set in. Jesus knew this, and this may be one of the reasons that He always told His disciples, fear not. Fear not. Don't worry. I've got this. Jesus never wanted us to be controlled by worry and anxiety, but He wanted us to be different, to stand out with faith and trust. He recognized that worry removes God from the scene. It takes the power out of God's hands because we start believing and trusting ourselves to get through the mess instead of trusting God. What ifs are not going to go away. We're always going to have what ifs. They're a part of our everyday lives. But when they come, we can be at peace, knowing that we're not alone because God's always with us. He's never going to leave us. He's never going to forsake us. He's always there with us to give us that contentment, to give us that compassion, the confidence, the joy, the peace, the security, and the calmness that we need. But we must remember that God is in control. As humans, we often think of the worst case scenarios and not just a little. But we let our imagination make things so much bigger than they really are. We often find ourselves worrying about things that more likely will never even happen. Worrying doesn't empower us, but instead it can hurt us and it can even paralyze us. When we worry, we let our precious time and emotional energy drain out of us. It doesn't help the situation, but only makes things worse when we worry. However, we can make an active choice to say no to worry. We can and should choose to have faith in God and know that He's all sovereign and that He'll never leave us or forsake us. He's all powerful. We're going to have life's everyday concerns, but they don't have to overwhelm our thoughts and our energy. Throughout the Bible, God reminds us the importance of depending on Him for all things and turning to Him in all situations. And we've got to remember that He's there. Even amongst the uncertainty of the times of the coronavirus, God calls us to put our trust in Him. Let's turn to Isaiah chapter 51. And we're going to start at verse 12. Even I, am He that comforteth you. Who art thou, that thou shouldest be afraid of a man that shall die, and of the Son of Man which shall be made of grass? And forgettest the Lord thy Maker, that hath stretched forth the heavens, and laid the foundations of the earth, and hast feared continually every day because of the fury of the oppressor, as if he were ready to destroy. And where is the fury of the oppressor? The captive exile hasteneth that he may be loosed, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his beard shall fail. But I am the Lord thy God, that divided the sea, whose waves roared. The Lord of hosts is his name. And I have put my words in thy mouth, and I have covered thee in the shadow of mine hand, that I may plant the heavens, and lay the foundations of the earth, and say unto Zion, Thou art my people. We are His people. We must have that relationship with Him, that we know without a doubt that we're His people, that we have the faith and the knowledge that He is our one true God, and that He's never going to leave us nor forsake us. But you know, the Lord was able to build the earth with His hands and His voice. Jesus walked on the waters. Anything He did, He can still do. He's so mighty and so big. Why we don't think that He can handle the little what-ifs is besides me. We have to have that faith and trust that He is going to take care of us, because we are His people. Let's turn to Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 5 through 8. Thus saith the Lord, Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land, and not inhabited. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. And you know, this is so true. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. He shall be as a tree planted by the waters. And if you've ever seen a tree planted by the waters, the roots are much, much deeper. And they're there. They're more sturdy. They grow stronger there by the water. And we must be as that tree planted by the waters. And we must know that we are to be trusting in the Lord, and we will be blessed. Like it said in verse 5, thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man. And that is so true, especially these days. What's everybody trusting? Right now, people's trusting unemployment. They're trusting the government. They're trusting man instead of trusting God to take care of them. And we must remember that we must trust in the Lord. And our hope is in Him, and He will never fail us. Let's turn to Psalms chapter 66. Make a joyful noise unto God, all ye lands. Sing forth the honor of His name. Make His praise glorious. Say unto God, how terrible art thou in thy works. Through the greatness of thy power shall thine enemies submit themselves unto thee. All the earth shall worship thee, and shall sing unto thee. They shall sing to thy name. Selah. Come and see the works of God. He is terrible in his doing toward the children of men. He turned the sea into dry land. They went through the flood on foot. There we rejoice in him. He ruleth by his power forever. His eyes behold the nations. Let not the rebellious exalt themselves. Selah. O bless our God, ye people, and make the voice of his praise to be heard, which holdeth our soul in life, and suffereth not our feet to be moved. For thou, O God, hast proved us. Thou hast tried us as silver is tried. Thou broughtest into the net. Thou laidest affliction upon our loins. Thou hast caused men to ride over our heads. We went through fire and through water, but thou broughtest out into a wealthy place. I will go into thy house with burnt offerings. I will pay thee my vows, which my lips have uttered and my mouth have spoken when I was in trouble. I will offer unto thee burnt sacrifices of fatlings. With the incense of rams, I will offer bullocks with goats. Selah. Come and hear, all ye that fear God, and I will declare what he hath done for my soul. I cried unto him with my mouth, and he was extolled with my tongue. If I regard iniquity in my heart, the Lord will not hear me. But verily God hath heard me. He hath attended to my voice of my prayer. Blessed be God, which hath not turned away my prayer, nor his mercy from me. And thank the Lord that he doesn't turn away from us. He hears our prayers. He hears our cries. He knows what every utterance we have is, and he is there for us. But we must make a joyful noise unto God. And that's like in verse 1. Make a joyful noise unto God, all ye lands. And, he was able to turn the sea into dry land. He was able to take the Israelites through dry land when they were being followed by the Egyptians. He protected them. He took care of them all along the way. Why would he not take care of us? We must trust and have that faith in the Lord, because he's in the little things. He's in the what-ifs of our life. In verse 10, it said, For thou, O God, hast proved us. Thou hast tried us as silver is tried. And just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown into that fiery furnace, it was set so much hotter than it usually was, because they were determined they were going to make them bow down. But instead, they were put in that fiery furnace, and they came out without escape. And God was with them all the way through the fiery furnace. And they were tried as silver. And that's what we must do, is be able to go through the fire and come out on the other side as silver. Let's turn to Isaiah chapter 45, verses 6 through 7. That they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. I am the light, and create darkness. I make peace, and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. And we have to remember that. They may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am the Lord, and there's none else. And we must remember that he is the Alpha and the Omega. He's never going to leave us nor forsake us. But we have to remember that he is in control of the little things, of the big things. He's there. And we must remember, whatever we do, God's in control. He's in the little things. Let's have that faith and trust that He will see us through.